So maybe we open it up since we have this live going on. Any questions pressing for the AMA live portion that we can help start with?
Let's take a look at. You've got several of them questions that were already posted.
Yes.
Let's take those, and maybe as those become they open up, then we can get actual live ones as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Good call. Good call. You know, sometimes I'm probably the last person who wants to ask a question.
Be the first.
Gosh, you know, especially being the first in a public setting. So, Mark, I have been answering questions all morning on Reddit, and I feel like I was able to give some really great answers to that. But like I said, I reached out to about 12, it was 1,400 of our folks, and I got flooded with questions. I took pretty well, you know, the best of them that I could gather, and I kind of melded them into a group. Would you like to start there? I think that would be a good place.
Why don't you take the mic there and just ask me the question? I'll give my opinion, and you can do a follow up if you've got an opinion, and kind of go from there.
Yeah, so I think the best question to start off with is in the CRM realm. What we find within the real estate CRM space is that agents and teams will purchase a subscription or buy a CRM solution, but then they never actually use it, or they seldom log in, they seldom you know, engage with the systems. Now, from our seat, that's like twofold. It's like, well, I'm glad to have the subscriber, but man, I work really hard to try and get you guys in the platform using it, because I understand the value that it can bring to your business. But Mark, talk to me, like, why do you think so many agents and teams end up falling into this trap of purchasing but not using?
Yeah, so this has been going on for decades. The thing that I have seen, and in going to NAR, going to the Missouri Association of Realtors, going to California Association of Realtors, different types of venues, different types of things, you know, inevitably, and even the individual coaches that are out there, everybody's looking for that magic wand that makes their life easier. And they are sold on some concept, some idea, some system, some framework of some sort that is like, this will solve your problem. And while the frameworks are probably spot on, the systems are probably spot on, it's not a matter of a magic wand. There's always work involved. And I cannot tell you how many times I have talked to people, and they have gone to an event, they get their box of goodies and things they at the event, whether it being the coaching, whether it be the national conferences and stuff like that, they'll get some box of goodies of some sort, bring them back to the office and throw them under the desk, and they just start collecting dust, quite honestly. And the challenge is, you get into your own you get into your own cycle of how you do your business, how you've done it for years, unless you're a brand new agent. And typically the brand new agents actually will open up those and start reading through them. And then there's a bit of overwhelm. Where do I start? What do I do? And that's a whole nother thing. But most of the time, people are looking for that magic recipe that will give them some sort of leg up on doing some process and making sure that whenever they get home, they're going to do it, but they don't. And that is one of the things that I see even with software. A CRM in general is one of the hardest things to actually address and do whenever you're starting off in business, because there's a lot that has to go into that, getting the names in, getting the systems in place, getting all these things, whether we call them routines, it's the workflows, it's the processes, all of those have to be set up. And while many of them can come with those processes, they're not your processes. They're not the way you do business. And if it's not how you do business, you'll start looking at it like, well, that's not how we do it here. I can't do it this way. We've never done it that way before. And whenever that happens, then it starts collecting the dust. CRMs are notorious for this because it does take setup. You got to import your contacts. You've got to, and if you've already got systems in place, if you already have some CRM and some other CRM comes around, there's effort, there's challenges in getting those set up. So making sure that we take an honest look at what are we doing, how are we doing it, will we do it before we actually take that step, sometimes is the best thing to do. And then you've also got your team. If you've got a team of agents that you're working with, you've got to deal with adoption. And will they accept the challenge? You know, did they see what you saw whenever it was presented to you? And if they don't, then they may not buy in. And if they don't buy in, then, you know, they don't use it, and then it goes to the wayside. So what I have always tried to express is in the coaching and the training and stuff that I've done in the past. Number one, your business is your business. I mean, that's obvious. But the way you do your business, even if you're in the same city as somebody else, the same county, the same state, it'll still be different. So whenever somebody is selling you a system, a framework, a process, or whatever, you still need to adapt it to your own area. So one of the biggest things that you've got to make sure of is, especially with CRMs, is it configurable, or is it set in stone with how it's configured, so that you can do what you need to do in your own business, in the manner that you do them, the terminology that's being used in your area. Saul Klein, I've known Saul and I, he's in San Diego, big technologist. Saul, if you're hearing this, shout out to you.
Shout out Saul.
He has made mention multiple times. He and I met down in Texas many years ago, whenever we were trying to kind of bring all of the MLSs together and try to build one big MLS database. We worked months on trying to bring it together. There's, you know, still efforts trying to do that. Everybody in every area has their own terminology, their own fields, their own whatever, and trying to bring those together is a huge obstacle. You just don't understand how big of an obstacle that is. And with CRMs, if you're just doing stuff with contacts, that's not as big of a deal. But if you start bringing in with what we have done, where you've got property information, transactional information, the listings, if you're doing any kind of listing data type stuff in there, it becomes a real challenge to try to map those fields. And it takes time. And that's what is a big obstacle, and why so many of these agents just do not actually use them, is that it does actually take some time and some effort to get them set up. And there's agents early on. Whenever I first started, I was actually teaching agents how to use a mouse, before the internet, and then teaching them how to use the internet. And this industry as a whole, not in every case, but as a whole, has been a few months behind on everything that is new in technology. And I would love for it not to be that way, but unfortunately it is. And what we've got to do is help real estate agents understand that using the time that they've got, especially in the ebbs and flows of this business, the constant roller coaster of feast and famine, especially coming up now from September, October, November, it slows down. This is the best time to start getting your systems in place. If you don't have systems in place right now, now is the time, because coming up in February, March, it starts picking up. In some areas it's constant. So I shouldn't say that it's not that way in every place, but a majority of the areas, most people, school has started, kids are in place, they don't want to move. There's still relocation issues, people getting relocated for business. So it still happens. But, and right now I was talking with an agent earlier, and she said, this has been the busiest 2 weeks of her year. And so it's just kind of crazy how things are happening right now. But it's going to start slowing down a little bit. And if it does in your area, it's best to take that time, figure out, how do you want to be doing your business next year? What are the things? Start planning now your business plan about, what are your goals? What are your strategies? What are the tactics that you'll do to get more leads? Hopefully, I'm a big proponent of referrals, of building those relationships with people. That really comes back whenever I spent, I think 2.5 years with Joe Stump. He, huge coach in California. Shout out to Joe as well, where he would be talking about different things, and he'd have me up on stage and talk about how technology can do a lot for them. And is like, all the things that I just talked about, many people did the exact same thing. It's like, I'm giving you everything you need to create this, but will you use it? And sometimes they did. And a lot of agents that did, they did quite well, very well, taking the strategies and the tactics and the training that Joe did, and then adding in the technology that I gave them a huge leg up. And there are still agents that are still today using those systems. In fact, one of my old systems, this is crazy. One of the challenges with CRMs is, once you get into CRM, you really don't necessarily want to change unless you need to change. And, I had originally the Market Systems was my original software. It was a play on words with my name, Mark-it, but marketing systems, whatever. And I had teamed up with a one of the top coal banker agents in Southwest Missouri, Peggy Mitchell. She told lots of her agents in Springfield area that what we were doing, and one of the top agents, Patrick Murney, started using my system, and we continued to grow and grow and grow, and we had about 5,000 users nationwide with that old system. Well, it started getting old as far as the technology. It was Windows, actually at that one was actually more of a DOS base, but he did move up to the Windows base. Once we went to SaaS, he stopped there. He didn't want to go. He wanted to continue using that old system, and it's like, great, if you want to use that, great. I went on and I built other systems and SaaS and whatnot. A few weeks ago, actually it's been 2 months ago, went back and was talking about, he's still using that old system. It's still functioning without any changes for the past 30 years, which was crazy to me. But he says, Mark, it's the only thing that does what I need it to do, and it continues to work. And that's a testament, number one, to good design, I guess. I try to make software that's functional and usable, but he has not found, in all of that time, in 30 years, not found anything that works the same way. Well, with what we're doing with SAM, we're taking a lot of that old, even though it's old technology, we're using the methodologies and stuff that was presented back then, and making sure that the important things, the things that could be used and should be used, are still incorporated. So it was just crazy to me to see that. But that's where somebody that is, if you're entrenched in what your business does, and if it continues to work for you, why change? Unless you specifically need something. And that's the mentality of a lot of people, is this, they don't want to change after they get it, and why they don't use something else. So
yeah, that's excellent. And I get such a kick out of just the idea of Patrick. And Patrick's got quite a big brokerage. All of those agents, still using that system. It's, a testament to the power of technology, truly. I think, to put a little bow on this, from the sales and marketing side, I think that honestly, we have some really great professionals in the sales and marketing spaces that are doing an incredible job at painting the picture of what you will accomplish. So I have a mentor by the name of Russell Brunson, and he's an entrepreneur who talks about the new vehicle and this idea that if you're tired of your Ford Fiesta, you need to hop in a Corvette, and that new vehicle that you hop in will take you somewhere else, but you get the picture in your mind of where you're going, right? And so in my mind, why do so many agents and teams buy these CRMs and never actually use them? Well, it all comes down to the marketing was excellent at painting the picture of what they will accomplish, who they will become, what they can do with that system. And then the sales team goes in the back, and any salesperson worth their weight in gold is going to be excellent at closing the deal. And so now you've got this picture painted of what you can accomplish, and you've gotten someone who's excellent at closing the deal. Oh, but now it's actually on you. And so it goes from this this dream to the actual reality of, oh, I have to be the one to do it. And I think you're 100% correct, Mark, that that is where the incongruency or the tension lies, because gosh, I got so excited, and it's almost like the sale becomes the reward rather than the sale being part of the step towards the reward. And the reward is that you have your processes in place, your databases are working for you, and your system is well oiled and moving and specific to your business to help your entire market in the way that you are specifically going to be able to help them. And I think that when that reality sits in, gosh, it's so demotivating that it's really hard to move past that. And so I really think that is is kind of at play here when we come into that.